Hello YouTube! It's your boy Dante with another graphics optimization guide. Today, we are going to be looking at the game Wuchang Fallen Feathers. This is a beautiful looking game, which even looks amazing when playing on the low preset. But I am not here to recommend you that, of course. In this guide, I will recommend to you settings that will help you gain performance without any noticeable visual loss. Just to inform, I will be using an RTX 3060 Ti at 1080p resolution. Now, with all that out of the way, without further ado, let's do this. We will not be looking at this graphics section here, as they just contain basic things everyone knows about, like resolution and VSync, etc. We will be looking at this advanced graphics settings section here. The first two settings are connected to each other. The second one is where you select your upscaler like DLSS, and the slider above is the resolution from which the image will be upscaled to. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card, I would highly suggest DLSS here, but if you have AMD, I would suggest using TSR instead of FSR, as FSR has a lot of artifact issues. The third one enables frame generations like it says. So if you have a 40 or 50 series graphics card, you can use this to double your FPS. Next, we have anti-aliasing. This setting only is effective when you have TSR upscaler enabled above. The low setting here has a lot of pixelation and ghosting in moving objects. Mid setting removes the ghosting and pixelation but looks a little blurry. High, on the other hand, looks the same as mid and just costs more FPS. Here, I would recommend mid, and would also recommend setting some sharpness to your liking in this slider here to overcome the blurriness. The next setting, post-processing, add typical post-process effects that you find in most games, like bloom, sun glare, light shafts, etc. This setting does not cost any FPS, so if you like these effects, I recommend setting this to high. The next very demanding setting is shadow quality. When it comes to environment shadows, all settings look the same. It is the character shadows that actually gets affected by this setting. Here, I would recommend high shadow, as anything lower than high looks awful, and the ultra and extreme shadows are just wasting a lot of performance for very minor visual gains. Effects quality controls the intensity of particles in game, like water and fire. Here, I would recommend mid setting, as low hits big when it comes to visual quality, while mid looks almost like high, and also is FPS friendly, especially during intense combat. Next is viewing distance that adds tiny objects and grass at distance. This setting does not give me any major FPS boost, so here I would recommend keeping it at high. Let us skip the texture quality for now, as it depends on all the settings I am recommending you, so I will talk about this in the end. Next is vegetation quality. Normally people would think that this setting adds more grass, but in this game, this setting controls the animation of grass and trees. As you can see here, low setting has trees with no animation while mid and high has animation. This surprisingly is the most demanding setting in the game, and I would recommend mid only if you have tons of performance headroom. If you don't, then set it to low. Volumetric fog controls the quality of fog and volumetric effects like light shafts. Luckily, all the settings looks exactly the same, so here I would recommend low to save FPS. Global illumination controls the overall lighting of the game. Off disables the effect and has no bounced lighting at all. On the other hand, there is very minimal difference between low and high. Here, I will recommend low settings. Ambient occlusion adds shadows to object depending on light direction. Low disables this effect and makes the image look a little flat. Here, I would recommend high, as it does not cost a lot of FPS while the image has more depth to it. Last setting is reflection, which, as the name suggests, adds reflections to reflective surfaces, like this water here. Low setting has basic reflection. Mid and high has lumen reflections. Here I will recommend mid, as low looks very basic. Also to notify that setting this to medium or high enables lumen in the game, which also affects global illumination. If you have not enabled lumen here using the reflection setting, global illumination will always be without lumen, giving only the base lighting no matter the setting. Now to talk about textures setting. When the game launched, it was in a very bad state, and setting textures to even medium was not possible for a GPU of 8GB VRAM, as it was eating up more than 8GB. Luckily, the developers quickly updated the game 2 times, and now at patch 1.3, VRAM utilization is a lot better. Also, textures is not the only setting that eats VRAM. Other settings affect it too, like shadows. All the optimizations we have done up until now, combined with the developers' patches, have enabled us to set high textures. As you can see here, I have set resolution scale to 100 at 1080p and textures at high, and I am utilizing a maximum of 6.7GB of VRAM. So for textures, first I would recommend all of you to update the game and follow all my recommended settings, and then set textures to high. Now, let's look at the difference between Ultra preset versus my optimized preset. As you can see, visually there is barely any noticeable difference, and we went from 41 FPS to 68 FPS. Here is the overview of all the optimized settings. And this brings us to the end of the guide. If this video was helpful to you, kindly like and support the channel by subscribing. Good luck and happy gaming!